All right, well, welcome to our, I think it's our first joint KMag Mtg meeting. And at least it is in my history, so welcome. Thanks for everyone. Some of you got really good seats. You didn't have to scalp them. Thanks for coming today. Just to start into a little quick introduction, my name is Melissa Myers, and I'm one of the KMag co-chairs. Amy War, my other co-chair, better half, is not here. She's at oral argument today. And this is Mary Elise Kelly. She is our secretary. And then Kristen Nifted is PTA president extraordinaire. Ken Habernack is our KMag treasurer, and Jenny Floyd is summer. She's our other co-treasurer. And then ladies and gentlemen, our wonderful, fabulous, super awesome healing counselors. Allie Hirsch, 8th grade?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then by process of elimination, I'm going to go with Roxanne Lopez for 6th. And Christopher, is it Aparicio?
Aparicio.
Perfect, for 7th. Yes, and then of course, Ms. Lowe is here as our principal. And welcome to all of you. And without further delay, we'll start with our principal's report.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for coming. This is so exciting to have such a great turnout. I will be brief. Basically, the school year has gotten off to a great start. I don't know how many of y'all made it to the back to school carnival that the choir put on, but that was so much fun. I got pied and dunked in the tank, and then I got stuck in the tank and couldn't get out. Luckily, Mr. Schoaf was really good and helped me with that. Yeah, I'm not going to be tanking again. That's the last time for that. We have homecoming this week. We had our pep rally on Tuesday. I got to put a pantyhose on my head and do an elephant walk with an orange trying to knock over water bottles, and I beat all the kids. I'm just saying. So it was a lot of fun. Report cards, the only real thing I'm going to talk to you about are report cards. I was at a principal's meeting yesterday for the district, and they're going to be putting out a statement saying, if you notice something may be wrong with your child's report card, don't panic. Just call us and let us know. This is our first time to run report cards on the new grading system, this new gradebook system. Our counselors and our registrar and our directors worked really hard yesterday to get with every single teacher and make sure all of our errors were cleared up. So yours should be good, but just in case there's an issue, don't panic. We'll get it fixed. Just let us know, okay? Do you have any questions? Quick questions for me. Also, I am tweeting. I always want to say twittering. I am tweeting it's at Keeling Hornets if you'd ever like updates on what's going on. I was tweeting about our awesome 7th and 8th grade wins over Fulmore. Tuesday night, how did we do last night? The volleyball.
We won.
We won! Yay! I missed last night. I was in a meeting.
20-0, 7th grade, and 36-8th grade.
Right, that was football. Yeah, and volleyball won, so that's wonderful. We always like winning. Question.
So I've been told that if you're looking on, what's it called, teams at the grades, because you can look at grades under progress reports or under report cards. Someone told me that report cards is more up to date, and that's the better tab to look under. Is that true?
Yes.
I'm so glad they knew the answer to that because I'm still figuring it out.
Different.
Well, we learned yesterday that for UIL purposes, like our coaches and our UIL sponsors, choir and so forth, they have to look at the actual failure list because that's the only truly correct list. Everything else is kind of fluid, so I'm assuming that that's like the grade, the report
It
card
seems
grade.
like the progress report tab changes a lot slower. And I like the report card one because the grades were better on that one.
Hey, I'm for all picking the one that you like best.
The progress report is the one they do at the 3-week mark, and it's kind of the snapshot, and it doesn't change until the next 3-week part.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So that's right at that time
But
frame.
there should be the place where you can click on the grade and delve straight into all of the assignments.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah,
That's
that's
on the
good.
report card.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Great, wonderful. And well, and I got into our quick introduction. I think y'all are here today to meet our fabulous counselors, which we were going to get to, but this is a great time of year where we get to know each of our 6th and 7th and 8th grade counselors, which we will introduce in a minute. And I see we have 2 fabulous people that walked into the house that might have
They're trying to be Twinkies.
some report to give us, and maybe they want to stand up here and show everybody on video land their wonderful outfits.
Crazy soccer.
Well, would you guys like to introduce yourselves and let's do that, other than twins.
Hi, I'm Lanika Fraley. I'm the Academy Director here at Ely Middle School.
Hey, I'm Diane Carter. I'm the Magnet Director. And yeah, yesterday we, as you can see, we have a couple of carryovers from yesterday. We have the glasses carryover and the shoe carryover. Anyway.
So what's Friday gonna look like?
Inside out.
Every day.
We're just going to be inside out. I've already tried to imagine which pants will look the most strained inside out. So we'll see.
Show us your kicks. We can't see.
Oh, yeah, she's got me beat today, no doubt.
So these are the volleyball team socks. I just happened to invest in a pair. And these are my Dr. Seuss socks.
Not part of your entire
No, I was cat in the hat one year.
Well, not to put both of you on the spot, but are you able to give a couple-minute quick report about the Academy and the Magnet programs? Would you like to do that right now that you're on the spot and showing us your outfit?
Man, that's a loaded question.
It
We
is
have
a loaded
so
question.
many amazing things happening. Oh my gosh. Well, you guys probably already know our music production class has taken off. We're in our 2nd year of it, so we have our year-long course, and it's going fabulously, of course. We also started something new this year where students have a built-in sort of souped-up study hall kind of a class that allows students to get on top of their work if they've been absent. It's an opportunity to make up work. We have an accelerated piece for our students who are in pre-AP, and we're partnering soon with the organization who's going to help bring video and design into it. And so 7th grade just sent their fabulous email that talked about the very high percentage of AV honor roll students, and so it's pretty exciting. It's the first 6 weeks of it. We sat at another training recently, and there was a teacher who was talking about this school who's doing something great with their students. It's real-time intervention, and she was like, I wish every school would do that. And I said, hey, I'm sorry to eavesdrop, but for selfish reasons, I want to know, what are you talking about, so that I can bring it back to the campus and maybe something we can do. And she said, yeah, there's this lady, and she mentioned her name, and I was like, where does she sounded familiar. And she said, yeah, Keeler Middle School. And I was like, I work at Keeler. So it was pretty nice, and it was cool at the same time to hear that people out there know what's happening here, and they like it. So Robin's allowed us the opportunity to just get wild and crazy and do things outside of the box that maybe we didn't think about, and the teachers are the real reason why what's happening is amazing. So I let them know every day that it's a work in progress, and but it's because of them that it's being successful. So
Thank you, Ms. Bailey. Ms. Carter, would you like to
So I see a lot of faces that I know I haven't said this to before. So those of you who have already heard some of this, I'm sorry. But so the big things we have going on in Magnet World is, well, right now we're right in the middle of recruitment. I learned there's 84 elementary schools. Luckily, Jenna Martin, one of our teachers, is taking care of B-Days. But if you don't know, like we literally go to every single elementary school and give like a quick little 20-minute presentation. It's us along with Fulmore and Ann Richards, just kind of telling kids about our program and getting the word out there. So that's, yeah, I feel like it's like a little road show. I run in with my little backpack with my laptop and DVD and flash drive with video, and then the projector and speakers, and here I go. Anyway, it's I'm sure entertaining for anybody that gets to see me get out of the car. But anyway, so we're in the middle of that, and then here probably our goal is by the end of this week, our new application should be online. So any of you that have looked and you're like, oh my gosh, it still says Mary Ramberg. It's okay, that's last year still. We didn't want to completely take that down, but we'll be putting the new one up, should be by the end of this week. I'm getting a little more feedback from teachers on that. And then the three biggies that we have going on, well really kind of four biggies that we have going on. We have a group of teachers that's really digging into and learning a little bit about project-based learning. Going to try to kind of figure out how to weave that more into what we do here. I sat in on their meeting last week, I think, or the week before. Anyway, great conversation. They're pretty pumped and excited. Then we've got a group of teachers and a couple of parents that are also going to really kind of talk about how can we get a little bit more representation from our underrepresented elementary schools. We don't have kids from every elementary, and that's not okay. So we've got a group of folks kind of working on reaching out in a slightly different way to them. And then, what was the other thing?
I don't know, you said 4, that's only
I
2.
know. I know, there's 2 more. What's the other group? Oh, the application group, but that's almost done. Anyway, okay, so it's 3. The third is, I've learned from listening to teachers that we haven't, as a magnet faculty, we haven't really had a conversation in a while about really defining where we're headed and what it is. Like when a kid comes through 3 years of the magnet program and then they move on to wherever they go to high school, what do we want them to look like? What do we want them to leave with? What skills? What knowledge? What do they look like? So we're gonna spend some time, actually a little bit of time on Monday, working on that, and there you go.
Ms. Carter, I have a question. I've got
Yes.
a couple emails. Do you know when, besides the application which you addressed, do you know when the list of the visits to the schools, when that will be up, or when you'll know where you're going to the different schools? Is
that? I did not know that was normally posted online.
Well, as you may or may not know, some of our friends that are looking to apply to Keeling look at that so they can figure out when it's coming, so it's on their calendar.
Well, as a matter of fact, we can make that happen today.
That's awesome. So video land.
Write it down.
Check later today or tomorrow for the website, and then you can the Keeling Magnet website, and you can see the list of schools. So you can let your friends know when Ms. Carter will be coming to a school in their area, and they can check it out.
There you go.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Carter?
Or Ms. Faley.
Or Ms. Faley? Or Ms. Lowe? Did you
So, my kid went to a school last year that we didn't have a presentation because it was a charter school, but so do y'all have a night where you do presentations for folks that aren't part of AISD? Because I can let the folks at his old school know, because a lot of them are interested in healing.
That's a great question.
Shows at
Yeah.
Patton and there's a road show I thought, well, that was Lhasa, never mind, I'm kidding.
There's one in December, right?
Yeah,
On a
there's,
Saturday morning?
There's a couple of things that come to mind.
Yeah.
We've got, there's a Saturday, I don't remember the date off the top of my head, and I
It's usually
should.
December.
Yeah, December 6th is in my head, but don't
And
quote
it'll
me
be
on
on
that.
It'll be on the
They
website.
have those things, we went to that last year, but I
Yeah.
remember like Fulmore last year had a night where they did like the presentations and they did the elementary school type thing, but for people that were not part of, so folks that were a part of charter schools or Montessori or, wherever could come to that. There were a lot of people at it too, we went to it.
Yeah.
It is the 6th.
Not that I know of specifically, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen, so I'll see. And what I'll do is I'll get with the other schools, and I know that there's at least one evening that we're gonna be at an elementary, so it might even be that we get that word out to more than just Austin ISD. so that if folks want to come, you can. But we'll see what we can come up with.
Yeah, just food for thought. It's kind of hard for folks to get information if they're not part of AMSD.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah, I hear you.
Ms. Carter, when you talk to the faculty or when they get together, can you pass on that they've been complimented? There's a science teacher at Lawson that's been teaching for 30 years, and he told my daughter's 9th grade class that they're the best class, that every year
Wow.
that the preparedness of the students continues to improve. And he said, Keely must be doing something right.
That's right.
It just so happened that
Cool.
the whole class had come from Keely.
That's amazing.
All right. I will certainly pass it. Thank you.
If we would like to help as a committee that's helping to reach out to underrepresented schools, could we?
Shoot me an email, and I don't, I'm looking around. I know there's at least one person that I've shared the name with the group of teachers, but yeah, shoot me an email and I'll pass that on to them the next time. They've only gotten together once. Man, they got a lot done. But as they get together again in the future, then we'll let you know when. Sure.
Great, thank you. Well, without further ado, I would like to introduce our fabulous counselors.
I'm gonna move, so I'm not in the way of the
Okay, and
video.
if you don't
Oh,
mind,
Lord.
if you could just, so we'll start with you, Ms. Hirsch. If you don't mind saying, introducing yourself, where did you come from? How did you get here?
Oh.
And then, thank you.
Well, I'm Allie Hirsch. This is my first year, 8th grade counselor. I did start in the spring, in the last 6 weeks, so I've had the opportunity to meet a few of you. I have a sort of atypical Texas educator's path because I'm not from here. I spent most of my time teaching 6th and 7th grade English in San Francisco. And in 2009, I moved to Madrid, where I taught in an international school for 3 years. Then did the transition to counseling, came here to UT, and here I am. I did my practicum at McCallum, so I have really close relationships with the folks over there, which is wonderful in the city and in this role this year. And I'll just briefly introduce Roxanne, who was a speech and debate teacher at Ms. Lopez at Travis for many years, and she, well, I'll have you speak about yourself in a second. And then Christopher Aparicio, who has taught at Murchison for many years and was a coach, a mentor teacher, a teacher coach at Webb for the last 4 years. So just to go through a few counseling updates, there's a lot going on because we have a lot of new folks in the counseling office. We also, Ms. Lowe and a few of the other principals in the district are responding to sort of a growing awareness about mental health needs for adolescents. It's such, actually in the literature and the research is actually quite a new field in terms of adolescent mental health, because a lot of what people saw historically just looked like growing pains of being a teenager, and as researchers are diving more into it, there is a growing need to address certain mental health situations for kids. So as a result, we have a new counselor starting 1 day a week. Her name is Suzanne Holt, and she'll be here on Fridays. And we are sharing her with a few other schools, Small, Murchison, O'Henry, and Lamar. Yeah. So we're really grateful to have that opportunity so she can do a bit more of the groups and individual counselings for some of our higher needs students. Every month we as counselors run the data for what we're seeing in our office for mental health needs and family situations, and we funnel that all through a survey that the district collects, and it's pretty interesting to look at that data that's being presented to Dr. Cruz in the next month or so, and it really speaks to the fact that we're glad that we have more support in Keeling with the new counselor, as well as a social worker. And so the social worker, her name is Brooke Anderson, and she works in the McCallum vertical team. Formerly, it was a woman named Bree Borgstead, but Brooke is new this year, and she's wonderful. So again, check in with your grade level counselor if there's anything, any questions you have in that realm. So a few more positive things rather than dwelling on all the mental health stuff. we're excited to choose 2 students, one from the Academy and one from the Magnet program, to be Keeling representatives to speak to Dr. Cruz at the end of the month. So teachers are recommending students, and we'll be checking in with them and chatting, and then they'll have the opportunity to go speak on behalf of Keeling to Dr. Cruz and share their insights and give sort of a state of the union from the students' point of view. So that's exciting. We're also working on Mr. Aparicio and a few teachers and I are working on a committee to think about how we can address more positive accolades throughout the community. Rather, we find a lot of times in our office that we're addressing crisis and coming from a problem point of view. So we're trying to introduce some more positive incentives in the middle school, and that's exciting. We're also collaborating. Ms. Lopez is in charge on working on some advisory lessons, which are sort of addressing social and emotional needs for students. And then just really quickly, high school, Ms. Lowe has been really helpful in us. I guess last year the high schools would come, McCallum and Lhasa and Austin and Anderson, and it really, they each presented on a day, and it was in a way disruptive to the flow of the school day. So we're arranging with all of the high schools to come on one day. So we're in the midst of planning that, so we'll give you more information on that when we have our date settled. And of course, all of you 8th grade parents are probably gearing up for the high school transition process. So again, we're in the planning phases of dates, and we'll be meeting with all of the students and going through their high school process. And then the last thing, I don't know, Ms. Lowe, if you want to speak about this, or we have a parent survey that I think we have copies of for you today, there's just 3 questions, and it would be really helpful to for our data if we could have you fill that out. Is there anything?
That's part of our Title I process, because we're a Title I school. So if we could just get some parent feedback on how we can better serve you. So those are on your tables, I believe, and if you have anything you'd like to jot down for us, we appreciate it.
We'll pass them out. And that just one quick thing, we've been, all of the counselors have been visiting the advisories in our grade levels and introducing ourselves and saying our role as counselor and trying to meet as many kids as possible, and having the kids fill out a little needs assessment about so we can have some more accurate data for forming our groups and for targeting interventions for themes in things like stress management and healthy friendships are coming up a lot, as you can imagine, with middle school. So again, we'll be doing some targeted interventions with guidance lessons, as well as some small groups and individual work based on those needs assessments. And
okay, so I guess this is my opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Roxanne Lopez. I'm the 6th grade counselor here at Keeling. This is my first year at Keeling, and also my first year counseling. So I'm coming to you guys from Travis. I have mostly high school experience. I do have some experience working with middle school students at camps. So I was teaching at Travis High School for 6 years. I ran the speech and debate program there as well. I also have taught in San Antonio prior to coming to Austin. I guess one of the things that Allie mentioned is that I am the coordinator for advisory, and we have a very small advisory committee. But in advisories, for those of you who are maybe 6th grade parents and haven't ever heard of advisory is like a homeroom. The students have advisory twice a week, and it's a 45-minute class, and that's where students are able to get a lot of information about what's happening on campus. And we also deliver SEL lessons. SEL stands for Social Emotional Learning. And so we have a lot of lessons during that period that talk about, they address some of the issues that they're concerned about. That's what the needs assessment was for. We wanted to see, okay, so what do students feel like they need support in? And we can deliver those lessons in the homeroom class, the advisory class, so we're not taking away from instructional time. And so we're still working on what are the main issues that we really need to address through advisory. Advisory lessons are typically delivered by the advisory teacher, which is normally a teacher that they have. It is a grade level teacher, so if your student is in the 7th grade, their advisory teacher is a 7th grade teacher, and so on and so forth. And in the next couple of years, we're kind of deciding how we want to do advisory, or keep the same teachers, or what we want to do with that. But that's kind of one of my big roles that maybe I wanted to speak about.
Mr. Aparicio?
And I am Christopher Aparicio. This is my 21st year in Austin Independent School District. I spent 17 at Merckson Middle teaching 8th grade science, and the last 3 years before this at Webb Middle School as a mentor teacher working with novice teachers to the district. While it was exciting and great work working with adults, it's so much more fun working with middle school kids. They're so much better. And thank you all for having great kids. They really do make my day absolutely fantastic when I get a chance to work with them and talk with them. My specific areas that I've been working with, as was mentioned before, we are working on this, trying to work on this positive kudos, if you will, for students. It's going a little bit slower than I'd like it to be, but we're trying to figure out some way to try to give kids positive, or trying to pull out the positives out of everybody and put that out there for everybody to see, because every one of our kids has something really great to show for. And then the second thing that I have on the back burner that I need to actually get to today is get started on that No Place for Hate group and get that going as well too. That's been on the back burner, and I have to do that today for sure to get it started and going for it. But that's mostly me. I really don't do a whole lot of anything else.
Thank you very much. Before we get into questions, and I'm sure y'all have some, I just want to give some, I had gotten some wonderful feedback from the counselors, and I want to share. So some people, some parents and some children might have some idea, oh, I can't go to the counselor because it means my child's a failure, or they're not doing something right, or I'm not doing something right as a parent. That is not true. Definitely the counselors are a wonderful resource that we have at Keeling for the students, and without fail, anybody who's seen the counselor, child or parent, has had a wonderful experience. So please, if your child is struggling, I know new 6th grade parents, adjusting to a new school, new friends, new homework load, it is a lot to manage. And the counselors know, they've been there, they've had the same questions, they have great ways to reach out to your children without it feeling like, oh, they're being pulled out, what did he do wrong? So they are a wonderful resource, so please let your child know. And then, would you guys have if anybody has questions, now would be a wonderful time to ask the counselors.
I'm curious, are y'all planning to move up with your classes or stay? Okay.
Rotate through with the
Yeah.
grade level, yeah. That was an easy question.
So you mentioned that there's a social worker available, and then there's the Friday
Yes.
mental health person, if
She's
you will.
a counselor, or social
Well,
worker.
yeah, okay. And then how do you coordinate
Yes.
with communities in
Good.
schools?
That's a great question. In fact, we just worked yesterday in our counselors meeting, our sacred counselor time meeting, where we try to not have interruptions, about a referral process, which is not rubber stamped yet by Ms. Lowe, so I don't necessarily want to give the details. But the basic, it's just to speak about CIS for a minute. Is that something that you're familiar with? Communities in schools. This is a wonderful nonprofit that we are so blessed in Austin to have. Well, in Texas, they are social workers, and they also this year we have an AmeriCorps volunteer with them as well. And Communities in Schools serves 120 students at Keeling, and they offer a range of services. There's groups, there is individual counseling, there's some slots for wraparound services, which includes parent support and even things like setting up medical appointments. They are, even if you have a free moment to go online and read about the work that they do, I can't speak highly enough about the social workers and the program. They have snacks and school supplies, and they work bus passes, and they work very closely with Dee Gonzalez, our wonderful parent support specialist, and they really, the director, Caitlin Riojas, and I were talking about different trainings on common mental health issues that we see. We both have a vested interest in children's learning as a result of a trauma in the home. So these are all things that are real issues for many of our students at Keeling and many students in general. So they have a beautiful space on the second floor, a big classroom and play therapy, and they serve, like I said, over 100 students here at Keeling. So,
And they're supported through the United Way Foundation.
okay. All right, good. And a lot, and some private donations
Yes.
as well. And, you know, I know Miss Rioja buys a lot of snacks out of her own pocket. So yeah, keeping the kids fed is a very important thing, especially with our start time. So basically, I mean, I think the main theory is if you have CIS services, then most likely you're not going to be a person who will see our Friday counselor. The social worker, she works at all of the elementary schools and Keeling and McCallum, so she has many schools, but she's wonderful and she's already proposed a group, and we're going to pitch it to Miss Lowe and then get it started. And yes, we're going to get it started, and she's a wonderful resource. So I guess the question, to answer your question, if you have a question, if you have a concern about something going on for your child or somebody you know, first reach out to your grade level counselor, then we will refer you to or work in collaboration with the social workers and the other counselor that we have. And I think that's just the easiest thing for you to know. And as the time goes on, if your child is in a group or working with one of the social workers, you will have to sign a consent form, and you will have that person's contact information. So at that point, you would have direct contact. But I would say at this stage, first line is one of us. And does that answer your?
It does.
Okay.
And can you also clarify when might a person initially go to Ms. Gonzalez versus you guys?
Okay. Here, I think there's really no, for that, I would say there's really no easy, Ms. Gonzalez, Parent Support Specialist, she wears many hats. She coordinates a lot of our services. So and mentor programs, the Seedling Foundation, and Operation School Bell, which gives clothes and school supplies to students. She's a wealth of resources for therapy and for medical assistance. And so at any point, we're often we meet with parents and we'll often say, here's Ms. Gonzalez's number, call, or we'll walk her down and introduce if it's the right time. But I don't think that I think either of us. Yeah.
There are a couple of things you would want to contact Ms. Gonzalez for.
Mm-hmm.
One, if you have any issues getting onto the parent cloud,
Yes.
anything like that, definitely that's Ms. Gonzalez's realm.
Yeah.
Secondly, volunteering in the schools, you've got to go through the clearing process. We have to do the background check, right? And Ms. Gonzalez coordinates all of our volunteers on campus.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I am one of those parents that had the luck of coming from a elementary school that offered 6th grade, and I encouraged my child to stay in 6th grade in her elementary school, and she did.
Okay.
The transition has been rough
To 7th.
to 7th grade.
Yes, ma'am.
What she tells me is that 7th grade is one of the hardest grades, or the hardest grade in middle school. Mr. Aparicio, is there any plans on developing some sort of program to support those 7th graders that are coming into Keeling new, to kind of soak them in the information on how to plan that 6th grade students apparently have and receive in each of their classes?
It's a great question, thank you. And because we've actually had this conversation before about those students who transition, new students in general who come to Keeling. We do have the transition camp in the summer for the most part. Some people say it's just for 6th graders, but it's really for anybody who's new to Keeling to help move in.
Well, and there was a specific.
And there was a specific transition.
Right,
So,
and she attended that, but
Right.
is there anything
So,
else
I'll-
that you can provide?
So it's a really good question, and as a team of new counselors, it's something we've, like I said, me working in an international school prior to here, our new student program was very thriving. So I guess I can say it's a work in progress right now. Just today, actually, one of our 8th grade teachers is hosting all the 8th grade New Magnet students in a sort of hey, how's it going, kind of thing. So we will be working on that for 7th grade, and also all of your grade level teachers have been indicated who's new, and so instructed, hey, can you give a check-in, this and that, and make sure to see the counselor if you need anything. And I would say, to your question, directly contact counselor and we can make some magic happen. But program-wise, we're in the process of developing something.
And contacting me or any of the other counselors who let us know gives us an idea of what's going on, because if they don't speak out, we don't know, we can't do anything. But yes, that's become very apparent.
Yeah, if not for this year, I would hope that even though it wouldn't necessarily help her, it'd be really nice to
Yeah,
have.
it's a
big transition.
We have been discussing it, we have.
Do you feel like it would help to have a special, get together for parents, and it could be joint, Magnet, Academy, just new 7th grade parents, just to kind of.
I think for parents it would help, but I would love for her to have a get together with
Right.
other new 7th graders
Yeah.
and touch bases. She feels
She can go to
very
the 8th grade one
isolated.
today.
She feels isolated because she's working so hard
Yep.
that she's not able to connect with other peers.
Yeah.
And she feels very jealous with her peers at O'Henry, for example, that have a whole bunch of, friendship developing. And so,
And definitely, check in with us about clubs and hooking up with
she
it.
doesn't have time because
Yeah, I
she
don't
needs
have time for that.
I'm gonna say, let's table this and you should contact
Yeah.
Chris or
Can I just, to say something, I have a 7th grader that came in and was repatriating, so he had a really hard 7th grade year. The best thing, he's a senior now, graduating, it all works out, it's a
Yeah.
learning period. The best thing we did was have him meet individually with the counselor. And by spring, it's a different child, they adjust. It's just a hard process, and I think it's really hard to avoid once you make those choices. But I think one of the most empowering things is to recognize that she has a choice to be here or be in O'Henry. And once she owns that, and like I would just really encourage her to get the individual counseling.
Yeah, she doesn't have a choice. She was a transfer into, and so now we close that door, and her homeschool would, it'd be a hard choice.
Well, I think
when all your buddies go to a school that's easier and they're doing stuff after school, and our kids are doing homework all day, every day.
Right.
It's tough. I'm getting that at home too.
And what we heard is, well, by 6th grade, all the cliques have formed, so I don't, who am I gonna have lunch with? But the counselor went and introduced him and reintroduced him to kids, and it helped.
the other thing I would recommend to any of you is, again, activity-wise and sports, and there's a lot going on in all of your children's lives, but staying after school to do work is really helpful. Getting that special after-school side of your child's teacher, because it's a little more relaxed atmosphere, and there's kids who stay after, and you can sort of connect with them.
So I have encouraged her to do so, but she's had some problems actually staying after school. She's been told that because she doesn't belong to any club, she's not allowed to go to think tank.
That's not true.
That's not true.
That's what the think tank person
Think
told
tank
her.
does not start at 3 o'clock just for kids to sit in think tank. I think that's the message that was going out. So what she needs to do is she needs to go see a teacher and spend her first part of the time, because think tank doesn't start till 3:30.
Right, so one of the things that happened is she tried to come to the library a little while back, and the think tank director told her that she could not come to the library to do her homework because
You
that
and I will
was.
discuss this in a minute.
Okay.
Yes.
Could you give me a general overview, again, of what kind of work the counselors will be doing with 8th graders to prepare them for registering for high school or getting for the.
Yeah, so a lot. A lot of work. Well, first of all, we're going to have our visiting day from the high schools in the district, and they'll each have like a booth and a setup and a presentation. Then I meet individually with each student and go through what their plan is. I'll be going to LASA and McCallum in the next couple of weeks and visiting with their counseling team and some of their, the fine arts director at McCallum, for example. And I guess I'll say, and we'll have a parent night as well, specifically for 8th grade parents. Although maybe it's a parent morning. We'll see. We can figure it out. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Well, I was going to say, usually what we're sort of planning on is having KMag do a meeting that's geared more specifically to transfers. I mean, applications, so LASA, McCallum Fine Arts, Anderson IB, Austin High School Global Studies. I think maybe the early college start schools have applications, so that will be more application focused. And then PTA will sponsor a meeting that's more transfer, and because the transfers, it's different every year, and we never know. So we'll have to work closely with the AISD central office to find out, okay, if you live here and you went here, you can go here. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you.
Sure. Yes.
I mean, those start in November, December. Historically.
Yeah, I think so. I think we had a meeting last year in November.
Yeah.
But you work with the kids here, and so will you meet with each child and then
Yep.
sort of, okay, I
We'll
know based on your personality in this, this is what might be a better fit than this option, or how do you work with how do you work with the children and kind of get them to know, hey, have you thought about this? Or,
Right. So that's a big question. How do I personally,
Yeah,
from
well, or
my
just
philosophy, how does a counselor?
You meet with a child.
Yeah, you meet with a child. You get a big picture.
Right.
You get a big picture of who they are. Have specific questions to ask them in terms of a lot of students in the Magnet program know exactly what schools they want to go to. But that's just sort of from buzz and not really being open to the other options that are out there. So things like commute time and homework and activities and socializing and things like that. All of those are important decisions to make. And it's really about, kids will come and see me and say, well, I have a B+, that means I'm not going to get into LASA, and really educating them on what certain high schools are looking for in terms of the whole child. It's not just grades, it's one slice of their pie, one slice of their application piece, and has to do with interviewing and sort of presenting yourself and how you walk as a student. So it's really a bit more complicated soup of factors, and developmentally appropriately, a lot of 8th graders think this or this, thinking in absolutes. So helping them without giving an answer to start to think in a more open-minded way, rather than just saying, this is my path.
Ms. Hirsch, did you mention the interest inventory they'll be doing?
Yep. Well, we have a lot of interest in inventories coming up. Do you mean COIN? So COIN is a career interest online survey that they do in 7th grade and a different battery of tests in 8th grade, and that shoots out sort of the top 3 career and interests for them as well. Those are typically administered. We'll be getting the 6th graders get these really cool booklets about careers, and there's a lot. Remember, this is for the whole district. It's not necessarily tailored for specifically a middle school program, and they'll go. It's sort of a warm up to Naviance, which, as much as we would love if you have high school students, it's a software program that deals with career and transcripts and colleges, and it really is a wonderful. It's a wonderful resource for students in the district. 8th graders can access it after the rollover in January. But meanwhile, before the holidays, they do a quick survey online, which is called the COIN Interest Survey, and we sort of use that data to help them think about their endorsements for their House Bill 5 selections. So there's a lot of new changes. It's a really exciting time, I would say, to be a student in AISD, and we'll be here along the way to support you and your child.
How do you communicate or is there a way that you can communicate earlier to parents and students about what impact some of the courses at Keeling have for high school? And I say that.
Is this a keyboarding question?
I kind of stepped into a situation where my son has 3 high school credit courses all in one semester, the first semester of 7th grade, and we didn't know what we were doing when we did that, or he did that, or however it happened. And so it's all going fine. I was just curious if there's a way to sort of communicate that information early on in the program so that people are sort of flagged those courses which are going to have that impact, so they can maybe step more carefully through that.
I'm gonna let Ms. Carter speak about this.
So I'm trying to decipher exactly what I hear you asking is there a way that we can be sure folks know this early on?
Yes.
Okay. Absolutely. I mean, if you didn't, obviously we need to do a better job. Clearly.
We knew one of the 3. I didn't know the other 2 would be.
Okay. Well, that's fascinating. I'm trying to think through how. We can certainly work on figuring out a way to communicate that better. Just to kind of let you know, the grade that's made here is not factored into the GPA that determines class rank. It is only factored into the GPA that's the ultimate cumulative GPA that, yes, is on transcripts that go to college, but it is not factored into the GPA that determines class rank. So that's often where the biggest numbers game lies, is the class rank numbers game. So if that helps anybody out there take a little bit of a deep breath, yay.
It does. I think he's feeling the pressure, and we're trying to tell him, just like any other class, just do your best.
Exactly. Amen. Keep saying that.
But regardless,
Yeah.
it is known, and I don't know if the kids talk about it or if he hears it from, people that have already done programs or, what it is. But
Right.
I think an easy way would be to code that in the schedules that the students receive, to code it or to somehow add it to the title.
Well,
That would be difficult.
Yeah, at the same time though, on the choice sheet, the choice sheet has like a number related to every single course, and those that are high school credit have like a little star next to them, and then they also have a number about this long instead of this long. But
In grade speed, or whatever it's called, grade book, the very first column has the course number, and the ones that are high school credit have a weird funky number.
Blah, blah, blah,
dot.
it's too late at that point, right?
Right. But the choice sheet
So it's on the choice sheet. It's on the choice sheet.
It's the same number.
It sounds like we need to make it way more obvious on the choice sheet.
Yeah.
Because that's like kind of that's sort of your last little chance there.
Yeah.
High school credits, only math courses and
Language. And
math, language,
IPC. Is that what your son is in, ma'am? IPC?
Keyboarding.
Oh, so keyboarding will not be a high school credit course if that's your choice. So let me speak about
I
this.
just heard that last time. Going in the first month of school, we didn't know that, but I came to the meeting, she said that last time.
And I just chime in as a mom of older children, the best thing that happened, and it was lost of parents that did that, is class rank. Everybody worried. I don't think a 7th grader should be worried about his high school class rank. That's just wrong. Okay? It's wrong in my opinion. But is it compared to my daughter who's 22, my son is 19, they only list your number on your rank in the top 10%. So just knowing, I can tell you, my Lhasa kid was not top 10%, but his GPA was 3.65. Now that's also something that's sad, but that's the level of kids at the school. And so when that happened, the kids got accepted to schools that you're like, wow. I mean, they recognized how much the rigor at Lawson is. I mean, and how my son actually found college to be easier than Lhasa in her semester. And another next door neighbor, her daughter is having the same experience this year. So that's kind of cool if you think about it. It's like, well, yeah, they're gonna have 12 or 15 hours versus 8 blocks, classes. That's the difference. So, yeah. So don't worry about the rates.
And they graduate with a year's worth of credit, which will save you about $50,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they agree to do that.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question before we let our wonderful counselors give out their day.
Yeah, you've been very
Hi,
patient.
so, in a related question, since it's been a really long time since I looked at our high school transcript. If you're taking a, 7th grade class that ends up being calculated into your high school GPA but not ranked, when you send that transcript to the colleges, does it say that you took it in 7th grade?
Yes.
Oh,
It'll-
just curious.
Yeah, it'll have the
Yes.
year that it was
Yes,
taken.
it says it.
So I have a thought, just maybe for a future topic, if they're not all laid out, or maybe a separate meeting. I don't understand all this stuff about high school credit and GPA and playing the GPA game and the ranking and all that, probably because we're new to AISD, or I don't get all that, and when I hear it, I'm like, oh darn, is there something that I need to know about that I'm totally in the dark about? If we could lay that out sometime for people like me that don't get it, awesome.
We can certainly get together, happy to do that.
We can probably add it to one of our meetings.
I mean, I just
Yeah.
don't, I
Yeah,
keep
we
hearing
can
bits
do
and
that.
pieces, and it's kinda makes me a little
I'm
bit
gonna
more
s-
every time, like, oh, there's something I don't know that I need to know about.
The bottom line, in my opinion, is encourage your kid to come and do their very, very best in every class every day. That's, and be excited about all the cool, amazing stuff they are learning.
And I want to make connections with people, make connections with teachers. That's why I'm encouraging to stay after school, make connections with teachers, become not just a person in, number 27 on somebody's roster. Really make relationships with people at the school, no matter what level. 7th grade, senior years, those recommendations and those connections and who you are as a person and fostering a love of learning is what colleges are looking for.
Well, and that's my strategy that I'm
Yeah.
going with, but what I'm hearing is that there's also some strategery involved in it, and I would love to know what that is, because I don't at this point.
Yeah, we can chat.
I've heard you
Strategery,
repeat
yeah.
it a couple times, and
Yeah.
so,
We
anyway.
can chat later,
Okay.
no doubt.
Thank you.
So you were gonna address the keyboarding thing?
Oh.
Before you leave, can you do that? I'm still very confused.
So, Keeling Magnet is well, let's just say this. Keyboarding can be coded two ways, high school credit and not high school credit. Most students in AISD, when they take it in middle school, want to take it for high school credit to knock out one of their credits. We offer it as not high school credit, so that is what we are coding all of the students, and we'll be going into the keyboarding classes to specifically make sure, because we're talking our entire school, that they understand what class they're taking and if it's for credit or not credit. Right now, everybody is coded as not having credit, which is what the concern is, because it's not a weighted class.
And to clarify that, keyboarding is no longer required at the high school. That is why this is not coded as a high school credit. They don't need it. Your kids are gonna get more than enough elective credits at high school. They don't need this one too. Tell them to take a deep breath and chill out. It's a good skill to learn.
It's a great class. If I were a parent of a 6th grader, I would want my 6th grader to take it unless we've already taken care of it at, at home, or you've done, or elementary had a great program, or something like this. It is a great class. It's not just typing, but if your student is very computer savvy and getting it in other classes or in other ways, then it's a different era than even 10 years ago in the realm of computer and K classes.
Well, I want to thank you all for coming here today and taking your time to spend with us. So Ms. Hirsch, Ms. Lopez, Ms. Aparicio, thank you so much for coming today. We appreciate all of the feedback and information that you've given us. And on the GPA question, Ms. Gita Suggs just reminded me, we have a video online. If you go to the KMag, or the Keeling Magnet tab on the Keeling website, there's a list of videos from last year. If you look up the last year's videos, there's one that specifically discussed GPA and the rankings. And I believe it was one of the counselors maybe that went through how things were ranked, and it was a big discussion. So go ahead and find that video.
I think it was in the spring, so.
Okay. So, and without further ado, we're going to try to wrap up some business real quick. Kristen, do you want to start with that, or do you want the key?
Sure, I'm just passing out, our PTA Secretary, Nicole Miller, already passed out copies of minutes. I'm just passing out a few more, as well as a copy of our budget.
Do you want me to do that?
Sure. Well, I just, we just need to approve the general minutes from our last meeting. So if someone can make a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Mark. Any seconds?
Second.
Okay, second. Any corrections or additions? Okay, all those in favor of approving? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. We also have a copy of our budget that I passed out, and hopefully we're going to have this available online soon. There were a couple of changes that our treasurer made. Did you want to go over those? Yes, thank you, Mark.
Volunteered to do that. I'm Mark Boyd, and I'm the membership chair for PTA, and I appreciate all of you who have become members and made donations to PTA as well as KMag. It really helps the school. So we have to make a few administrative changes to the budget. I volunteered to go through this real quick. It's actually a zero-sum change. We're moving things around. That's the short story. So there's 3 items that we're changing around. In the budget, it's not on the one that you have in front of you because that's the proposed new budget. There was a line item for income of $500 from dances. The PTA is not doing the dances anymore. That's other clubs and stuff around the school that are doing those dances. So we're no longer expecting that income. We instead increased the PTA membership budget by $500. So we're just moving those around. That's number 1. Amendment number 2 was there was a income line for the men's club, which was matching information that our men's club leaders had managed to bring in. We want to ensure that the men's club is always funded and that it doesn't depend upon anything else and other things like that, and it's just standard matching incomes of various types and stuff. So we moved that line. Let's see, where did we move that to? Community donations, which is where it really should fall. And so it's a $300 move, if you shall, from a single line into community donations. That way, if that particular thing falls through, we'll just continue to end up funding the men's club here at Keeling. And then the last one is it's a weird term. It's called off budget. Effectively, we've kind of funnel funds through PTA for clubs here that don't have a nonprofit designation themselves. Only it's not funneling through PTA because PTA doesn't allow us to do that. So there's another correct phrase for that we do. But basically, we work with each of these clubs so that the income that comes through goes directly through the club. This is extra work for our treasurer, but it's a very important, beautiful thing so that people can take it off on their taxes for donating that money, and the clubs get the benefit. So those are the 3 amendments that we're voting on today. Are there any questions about them? I'll leave it to the chair.
Thanks. Do we have a motion to approve the amendments as stated?
So moved.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Shelley, for seconding. Any questions, discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great, thank you. I just have a couple of PTA updates, and then we'll move on to KMag business. We're up to 605 members. Thank you so much. That is, I think, over a 15% increase from last year. I believe we either met or were close to our membership fundraising goal.
Susan Lowe is our Keeling Center Stage chair, and she's starting plans for that. That's our big April fundraiser, and it's a silent auction, music, dinner, that type thing, so she'll be looking for volunteers. The directory this year is going to be an all-school directory as opposed to just PTA members, and that is being processed as we speak. Laura DiCarlo and her committee have done some work on the grounds. You may have noticed fresh mulch and weeding, and it looks terrific. And the next grounds day is October 18th from 9 to noon. And then the last two things, PTA recently purchased a refrigerator for our concession closet. And different school groups are going to be able to use that to sell concessions at sporting events, fine arts events, etc. So we're hoping a fridge will make it a lot easier to sell the beverages. And then the PTA is accepting teacher applications for grants through tomorrow. And so that's where teachers come to us and request funding to help support their academic, fine arts, athletic programs. That's pretty much it. Yes? Pardon? Secret Pals, thank you, Lou. We've had a huge increase in teachers who have joined PTA. And the two primary benefits to teachers is that allows them to apply for grants. And then it also lets them get a secret pal, which is really fun. So 4 times a year, if you have a secret pal, you'll just bring a little gift. And we need more parents to be secret pals. So Julie Pastor has put something out, or you can ask me about that. And that's pretty much it. We're trying to coordinate more closely with KMag because there's a lot of overlap, and some teachers have all kids, and so we're trying to make sure that between the two of us we get all
coordination
that
is best.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thanks, Kristen. So we have a couple of items of KMag business which we'll turn to right now. There should be a copy of the minutes from the last meeting on everybody's table. Hopefully give you a minute to just find them and look at it. Does anyone have any questions or corrections to the minutes from the last meeting? Okay, without any questions, can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the September 25th meeting?
I approve the minutes.
Can I have a second? I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. Do we have any current committees here to give a report today? Okay.
I was just going to remind everybody, the book club is meeting after the next KMag meeting. And
Okay, so did everybody hear that in video land? We will have a book club, and this is the one with Miss Carter's book. And Jenny, do you have the title of it?
yes, it's called Building Resilience in Children and Teens by Kenneth Ginsburg.
Okay, and that will be held at the next meeting, which I don't have the date in front of me, but it should be in a couple weeks. It's all parents can come and enjoy the book club discussion with Ms. Carter.
Absolutely.
So, do you have the date in your head? We will send an email. We'll notify you about it. I don't have that in my head. I'm sorry. I should have that down. Well, without any other committee reports, I'm gonna turn to Ken with the treasurer's report.
So just as a quick overview, last year we had been with ACF, Austin Community Foundation, for ever since the initiation of KMag. And last year they decided to not sponsor clubs anymore and go only to an endowment type of situation. So we had to apply. We had to apply for 501(c) accreditation with the IRS, and mid last month we received that. Since that time we've set up bank accounts, and then we were able to go back to ACF and finally, with that certification, ask them to give us our money. So I'm happy to say that we are officially done with ACF at this point. So we've got everything set up and going on that front. It mentions here some of the approvals for expenses that we've done. We've also cut some checks for some prior ones. There were two expenses from things that were approved last year. One of them was for a teacher to go to a conference in Arizona. Basically, she just asked, she drove out and she asked that we take care of just the hotels. So she drove, took care of all of her expenses, and we've cut a check for her hotel bills. And there was also an old purchase of chicken wings. They buy them and then use them for dissection. And somehow that didn't get processed by ACF. We were made aware of it when we first came back, so that's been taken care of. And then there was also, for this year, forensic science items for one of the science classes where they're doing fingerprinting. They have like a DNA vial and the things that we paid for that. That was $123. So that's it, and then we've got some other stuff we'll be talking about in the executive meeting after this. Beyond that, turning to fundraising, we've had roughly $10,500 donated so far. About 20% of that has come through PayPal, so thanks again, Gita, for setting that all up for us. And now that we do have that 501(c) certification, Jenny and I have been working on getting the deposits into our new bank account, as well as sending out the IRS letters that you'll be able to use for tax purposes. And then just as an aside, most companies, at least large ones, have matching programs. So if you work for a company like that, like Dell, we actually had somebody last year that worked for one of the units of Dell that would match 2 to 1. So they gave us like a nice big donation, and then we got 2 times that amount from Dell. So definitely look into it, because it's just another way to make your funds go further. But again, at 10.5 thousand, $10,500, our goal for this year is 35,000. So we're roughly at about 30% of that goal. So thank you, and if you haven't donated, please think on it, or if you have any questions for us about more specifics about the things that we spend money towards, please let us know.
And thank you for bringing that up, Ken. Gita actually has her wonderful card reader today, so if anybody wants to make a donation today, you can do that, and you can help us reach our fundraising goal. So thank you, Gita, for having that available. And Mary Elise just mentioned to me, our next meeting is October 23rd for KMag, and so the book discussion will be right after that with Ms. Carter. So moving on, everybody probably has a beautiful flyer that was designed by someone in this room, Ms. Suggs. There is, if you haven't heard about it, there's a candidate, and I have extra copies of the flyers if anyone wants to bring some to friends, pass them out. This is very important. Is anyone here is there anyone present that's on the committee that's working on this with Anne Marie Reed? You? Okay. All right, well, I will do my best. So on the flyer, there's a date, Sunday, October 19th at 4 p.m. At LBJ High School in the library. There will be a candidate forum. So all of the school board candidates will be in attendance. It's very important for those who are in support of magnet programs, either at Keeling or LASA, Fulmore, wherever, any magnet program, to go and show your support. If they hold this forum and 10 people show up, that's what they're going to think. Oh, these parents aren't really that involved. They don't really care. Magnet's not really that important to us, to the community, so why would we spend our effort and money and time and thoughts on it? So it's very important that you get out there, encourage your friends, take the flyers, paper them around, make a carpool, go up to LASA, go to dinner afterwards. The candidate, again, it's October 19th for those of you in Video Land at the LBHA LASA High School Library. And the AIS, so let's get the stats right, 5 of the 9 AISD school board positions are up for grabs, which is the majority of the school board. So we want to make sure that the candidates that are elected are in support of the magnet programs, because as you know, right now we have busing that makes it possible for some of us that live way south to get to Keeling, which would be really hard if we had to drive here every day. So busing could be up for grabs. They could say, oh, well, these parents they don't really care, maybe we can use that money to fund something else. So please encourage your friends, get out there, grab a flyer. And then 2 other items of business, and then we can adjourn for today. Thank you for staying over.
Before you go to the next
Yes.
thing, she's looking for volunteers to help her
Oh, yes.
set up.
And
Just we'll take their name.
okay, so yes, if anyone is interested in helping Anne Marie Reed is a current parent. She's got a parent or a child at LASA and a child at Keeling, and she has been spearheading this tirelessly. So if anybody is interested in helping her in any way, shape, or form, please come see me after. I'll get your information.
The other thing is there is an RSVP at that website.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry.
At the very bottom of the form, there is a website, there is an address, aisdmagnetforum.weebly.com. You can get more information on it and save a seat, reserve a seat for yourself, your friends, and so forth. Okay, thank you, Vita. Okay, lastly, there's a LASA Roadshow at Keeling on October the 29th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. and one at LASA on November 19th from 6 to 8 p.m. So, and I think as we mentioned earlier, there is the Keeling, Fillmore, Ann Richards Showcase. I think it's December 6th. It's one of the first Saturdays of the month in December, and it's a great way to encourage your friends that are still considering what they want to do for 6th grade to get out there and check out the different schools. So just any other business, Ken, Mary Louise? All right, then our meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.